Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel, I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Today, I'm going to be breaking my fast. As you can probably see in my title, I have been fasting for 16 days. I am water fasting. I am currently on my 17th day, and today is the day that I'm going to finally break my fast. If you saw my last week's Wellness Wednesday, go ahead and check that one out if you have not. I began a water fast as the first part of a treatment plan that I've come up with sort of on my own, but with input from other places. And I've kind of just conglomerated several different ones and mushed them together into one, and I'm kind of just trying to heal myself from SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and I think it's going fairly well. Okay, so right before I started my fast, I got myself into ketosis, and that made the process unbelievably easier. Oh my gosh, it is not even a question compared to the last time, which was about 3 years ago that I did a water fast. It was awful. It was terrible. It sucked. It just absolutely sucked. I was hungry the whole time. I was cranky. I was tired. That hunger never went away, and I never got that good fasting feeling. So this time, I was not hungry almost the entire time, even from the beginning, with the exception of about the last 3 days, which is why I've decided I'm going to go ahead and end my fast. I'm going to end it with some bone broth. I'm basically going to take my water fast. I'm going to turn it into a bone broth fast. And then I'm going to begin the first part of it's a treatment plan called, I think it's Digestive Health Restoration by Dr. Jockers. I purchased this program many years ago, and I did successfully, but not completely, treat my SIBO several years ago. And so I'm going to go back and kind of start there, do a bit of that treatment, and then I'm going to move along to the next one, which is actually more of a reinoculation phase. So I have my bone broth warming up on the stove over there, and I'm very excited about it. So I'll share with you guys my first sip of bone broth, first bit of calories that I've had in 16 and a half days. I've been testing my glucose and my ketones this entire time, and I've been kind of tracking. I wish I'd written more of it down. I'm not sure exactly where I left off. I got a phone call, and then I got totally squirreled and sidelined. So I have my bone broth here. It is ready to go, but it's a little bit too hot. So I'm going to let it cool off a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you about a couple of different things. So I decided to come up with a list of 10 different tips that I can give you guys if you guys are thinking about water fasting. Okay, so the first thing that I did that I think helped me to be absolutely the most successful was getting into ketosis first. Okay, like I said, actually, this is where I left off. Getting into ketosis helped my hunger levels to stay low the entire time. It helped my balance my mood. It just helped me to be able to ease into fasting so much easier than I did last time. The last time and I also had not a super heavy meal, and I had it kind of early in the day, not early, but earlier in the day than I had the prior time. The time before, I had a big, giant, probably 2,000 calorie, that's probably an exaggeration, maybe 1,000 to 1,500 calorie, just like a restaurant meal with burgers, fries, shake, all that kind of stuff, just the worst of the worst thing. And it definitely manifested itself the entire time. I just did not get into ketosis. So the number 2 tip that I can give you guys is don't dwell on food thoughts. You just immediately, as soon as it comes into your mind, you just kick it out and think of something else. Have a list of things that you want to think about. Have some projects or something going on while you're fasting. Anything that you can do to keep your mind off of food will really help you, because if you sit there and if you dwell on all the things that you cannot have and how tasty that burger looks that somebody's sitting next to you, I can't tell you how many times through the last 16 days that I sat next to somebody else eating food and I was perfectly fine. The only time that I left the room was actually yesterday, and I was at my dad's house, and my husband and he were eating a bowl of chili, and I just had some B-roll and stuff that I had to take, so I went ahead and took advantage of the opportunity, and I left and took a bunch of pictures and videos of my dad's farm while they were just chomping on their chili. So do not dwell on thoughts of food. It will sabotage you. Just think of other things, just do whatever you can do to change your mind. Don't sit there and be like, oh, that burger burger looks so good. I wish I could eat that. No, sabotage. Sabotage. Okay, so the next thing is drink lots of water, okay? Drink lots of water. If you're keeping your belly full of water, it will definitely help you, but just drink lots and lots of water. I carried around water with me. I had my water bottle here, and then I also had another, like a bigger, I don't know if you can see it over on the counter there, but it's like a half-gallon jug, and I just carried it around with me everywhere that I went. And I made sure that I had tons of water on hand. Tip number 3 is test your glucose and test your ketones. I have this thing, it's a Keto Mojo. I love this thing. I showed you the previous version of this that I had before, and I was so glad that one stopped. They stopped making the strips for it, so I had to buy a new meter in order to be able to test, which sucked. But I'm so glad that I did. This thing keeps track of everything, and it will sync with an app on my phone, and I can track everything that I've done this entire time. If I can figure out how to do like a screenshot of everything, it's not really that eventful. It kind of just, basically main reason that I decided to fast was because my glucose was so high. It was 119. And on my previous video that I did, I had a few people who were like, why are you so paranoid about 119? I was like, cause it's pre-diabetic. Look up the numbers. Like 119 is pre-diabetic according to my doctor, as well as according to LabCorp, which is the blood drawing company. Fasted glucose of 119. It's high. It's dangerous. I don't want that. My dad has diabetes, and he terrified me yesterday with all of his gadgets and gizmos that he had to do in order to just basically stay alive. And I was like, I do not want that. So that's why I panicked, because it is pre-diabetic, and I'm not about that life. So it took 3 days. I tested my glucose every 2 hours for the first 3 days. I had the first 3 days that I was fasting off, and I tested pretty regularly every 2 hours. And it took 2.5 days for my glucose to drop under 100. And it was interesting the way that it happened. It was up, and then it dropped down just a little bit, and then it just like tanked and bottomed out. And my glucose went as low as like 55. It wasn't the average by any means, but it went as low as 55. And the high, I don't think it ever went above 80. It might have been like 82 or something like that, but that wasn't regular. It was usually in the mid to upper 60s, and then kind of as the fast continued, it kind of did start to climb a little bit. And I was doing some reading on that one, and they were saying that oftentimes that is because your body is actually pulling the glucose out of your liver, and it's just basically that's where it's coming from. So, because obviously it's not coming from food. So, anyways, I was keeping track of that. I will see if I can find a link for this. I will go ahead and link it down below for you guys. This thing is invaluable in tracking everything, keeping track of everything. It was actually one of the ways that I was able to figure out a few different things that were causing me issue was through the testing, because I could tell after I started having this certain thing, then my glucose would go up a little bit, and so it wasn't drastic by any means, but there was just a few things coming up I'll let you know about. So, number 5 is know what is in your water. Don't buy all those fancy, schwanky, bottles of water that they have. Don't do that. It's sabotage. I did it. Okay. I started the first probably 10 days of my fast with those jugs of just distilled water. That's all I had, and it was flawless. Okay. Maybe not even more than 10 days, actually. Maybe about 12 days. No, 10 days sounds about right. Okay. The first 10 days were flawless. I had no issues. I had no hunger. I had no, my glucose was perfectly steady and very low. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm not eating. So, first thing I did, I bought these. I was at Costco. I bought these, and this is alkaline water, and it has added electrolytes for taste. And this one, I noticed I did not like the taste at all. It was gross. So I actually ended up selling this to a friend, and some of the other ones that I had purchased. And then I tried doing I tried going around in the store and I tried Evian, which tastes like freaking dog bowl water. It's awful. And then I tried some Hawaiian spring stuff, these things that are supposed to be naturally electrolyte balanced and stuff like that, and without any actual added stuff. And from that point on, as soon as I tried this, my glucose went up, and it never went back down to its super base that it was. And I think that's also kind of when the slight passive hunger started. And so I think that was something that I would not suggest to anybody. Just get distilled water. If you have well water, drink that. If you have home filtered water that's really well filtered, drink that. You know, you don't need the fancy water. Just get the basic water, because when you get these things that have the added water, I bet money that there's other stuff in it. You know, you're in Hawaii, the Pacific Ocean is toxic. You know, same thing with the Alaskan spring water. You know, the ocean is toxic. Like, you know, you just never know where this water has been. Sure, it comes out of a spring in the ground, but where did the spring come from? What has contaminated it? You just don't know. So when you have distilled water, there's nothing in it. It's just water, and then you can add the things that you need, like the electrolytes to it. Number 6 is sparkling mineral water. This stuff is amazing. This stuff curbed my hunger like none other. And the only ingredient is carbonated mineral water. And I don't know what sets this apart from other things, but this thing is delicious. And when you're fasting and you get this little bit of a kick of flavor to it, oh my gosh. So good. It's so good. I love this stuff. It's amazing. It's expensive. You get a case, I think it's a case of 24 of these for $20. So they're a little less than $1 a piece. But if you ask me, it is well worth it, especially if you're just buying the cheapo jugs of the electrolyte water, or the distilled water. Oh my gosh. This stuff will help you when you're feeling kind of hungry, or you know, you're feeling kind of spacey or whatever. This stuff will definitely help get you through, and it's amazing. Okay, so next up is coffee. Also really helps you to curb your hunger. I didn't drink a terrible amount of coffee, but I definitely had a couple of cups in the morning. And in the beginning, I did have coffee throughout the day, but I kind of cut that back and mostly just had it in the morning. And if I kind of started to feel hungry, that would kind of help me to be able to curb that kind of later on in the fast. I didn't really get hungry in the beginning. It was like I said, when I started having the other water, that's when I started getting hungry, and the coffee definitely helped with that. There were very few times up until the last 3 days that I actually got like hungry, and the coffee just kind of helped get me through that. Let's see. Next up is electrolytes. There's a few different ways that you can get electrolytes. I have magnesium tablets that I like to take, and I literally carried this little pouch of salt around with me, and I would just, you know, dip my tongue in it, or you could, you know, lick your finger and stick it in there. I don't see what the difference is. And then you just have that, put it on your tongue, and then wash it down with some water, and that helped to alleviate any kind of off feeling that you might have. This stuff helps. And then another thing that really helps is I bought these. It's called their Element. Make sure you get if you're fasting, like you want to do an autophagy raw water fast, I got this stuff. It's the raw kind. They also make some flavored stuff, which I got in like a starter pack kind of thing. Like if you go around to different YouTubers, if I can find a link, I'll put it. But I just used, I think it was Steak and Butter Gal's link, and you get a free sample pack of the flavored ones. But I got that pack, but plus I ordered this one, and this stuff is great also. This will, towards the end, I'm not gonna lie, I got really cranky. And that was one of the reasons I decided to break my fast, was because I was just getting unreasonably cranky, like stupid. Like, I mean, I wasn't like a total jerk to anybody, but like I'm watching like YouTube videos, or, you know, watching TV or stuff like that, and I was just so snarky, and just like I just made comments that were unnecessary, or irritated the living snot out of me. It was so annoying. And so I was like, okay. But this stuff really helped to balance moods. If you're getting kind of cranky, just throw one of these in your water bottle. It tastes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium in a bottle of water. Like, it's not revolting, but it's kind of like slightly salty chalk, I would say. But I mean, it's not about the flavor, it's you're getting your electrolytes in, and that really helps to balance your moods. It helps to balance any hunger or any odd feeling that you might have. It helps keep you from getting too lightheaded. Electrolytes. Don't forget your electrolytes. Okay, so I think my broth, nope, it's still pretty hot. Next up is avoid any kind of sweeteners. I know a lot of people say that you can have like the artificial sweeteners or monk fruit, stevia, things like that. I don't know about monk fruit, but I know that stevia does spike your insulin, which is what you're trying to avoid with this. If you spike your insulin, you break your fast, flat out. Doesn't matter if you have calories or not. At the very least, you break your autophagy, which was the main reason that I was there's a lot of main reasons. There's a lot of reasons I was doing the fast. So, but that was one of the reasons was autophagy, because I'm trying to avoid having any kind of loose skin. And I know that I have some gross, not gross, but just some I need to detox. And that was one of the reasons I want to do it, because the autophagy just swallows up any of the extra proteins or things that you have in your body. And it kind of it helps you to get rid of all your toxins. And, gosh, I know I'm making this more than 10, but that's another tip, is just make sure that you're going when you're doing this. You won't naturally go. So you have to accelerate things in order to make sure that you go. And that's how you're going to get rid of a lot of the toxins. That's how you're going to turn it into more of a cleanse type thing, is if you make sure that your pipes are still moving, if you know what I mean. It's not going to happen naturally. You got to make it happen. So anyways, I'll just leave it there at that. Use your imagination however you wish to, but I can promise you it is well worth it. Let me see. So avoid any sweeteners. Oh, yes. And another thing, this here, I love this, okay? This is fantastic. And I think that this is perfectly fine for a fast, okay? However, this is not. This says it's zero calorie. It says natural raspberry flavored, and on the back it has 0 calories, and the ingredients are carbonated water and natural organic flavor. I firmly believe that this stuff is what also really contributed to my later in the fast kind of going downhill as far as being okay with hunger and stuff like that. This stuff spiked my glucose. Absolutely not spike. It raised my glucose by like 10 to 15 points, I would say. And then, after that, I gave all these to my husband. I think I mentioned that in my last video. And I was also having these at the same time, but I had these right from the start. So I don't think that this was an issue, but I did decide to cut it out. So if you really need something, it's not a sweet flavor. It's basically it's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but it's not sweet. But this stuff is really, really good. They also have this at Costco, and this stuff is great if you need something other than mineral water. Okay, so the last tip that I would say is know the signs to break your fast. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm kind of reading my body signs. I've been hungry passively with some occasional spikes in my hunger for about 3 days now. Don't have any headaches. I do have, my mood has kind of definitely been up and down, and I can tell that I'm just like, okay, it's time to end my fast. I really wanted to go 30 days, but I think that maybe I'll be able to do it next time, or at least I'll get longer next time. So just know the signs when it's time to end your fast. Even if you planned on doing a 30-day fast, if you know that it is time to stop your fast at 20 days, end your fast. It's not worth it. It's not worth, the potential side effects that you could have. It's not worth, any of that kind of stuff. Just know when the time is to end your fast. If you don't make it to your goal this time, try again after you've refed and after you've replenished your body. That's definitely what I'm going to be doing. I don't know the exact pattern, the exact plan. I don't know what you call it. But anyways, I don't have an exact plan as to how I'm going to be doing the refeeding, exactly when I'm going to do another fast, but it will be very soon. Probably within 2 months, I would say. And I'm going to try and do another long-term fast. And in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a bone broth fast, followed by just introducing soups and some antibacterial essential oils, things like that, and just slowly starting to incorporate more and more food. But in the meantime, I'm probably going to be doing the bone broth fast for, I would say, 5 days, maybe 7 days. It all depends. But, and then I'm just going to kind of slowly start to introduce some more kind of like a gap style until I've introduced enough food. And then when I'm ready for it, I'm going to begin the reinoculation phase. And that's when I'm going to move over to like the more of the supercut protocol. So that's kind of my plan. I think it's a fairly well thought out plan. I think I'm doing well. I'm going to keep testing my glucose, not quite as often as I had been doing while I was fasting, because those strips are freaking expensive. But I wanted to make sure that I was safely fasting, and I tested as often as I felt necessary and as often as I was curious. In the first several days, like I said, it was about every 2 hours, and then after that, it was probably 2 to 3 times a day. Yeah, I would say that's fair. About every 2 to 3 times a day. So I think my broth is ready, and I need some. Oh my gosh, I'm so ready for this. This is a very, very plain Jane broth. I just lightly, I cooked it for maybe 2 hours. It is more a gap style, and it is very lightly cooked, and it is very lightly colored, and it should be very lightly flavored. But in the background there, I don't know if you can see, I have a turkey roaster over there, and that has some very well cooked rabbit broth that I'm very excited about. So here goes nothing. Oh, I hope it's cool enough. Oh my gosh. You can just like feel it instantly. It's just like this pulse of, I don't know. It's almost like an electric pulse just through your whole body. I don't think I've ever had a cup of bone broth that has ever tasted this good in my entire life. Holy crap. Wow. This is good. Okay. So I think it's time for me to go. I'm gonna go and continue to have a love affair with my chicken broth here. Wow! Oh, I can't even believe how tasty that is. So I think for the rest of the day, I'm just gonna be sipping on bone broth straight and plain. And then starting tomorrow, I'm gonna be adding in oh my gosh, that is so good. I'm gonna be adding in those essential oils. It's oregano oil and lemon essential oil. I bought those before I started doing the actual fast, and I've just been ready to go for my next step, and we've finally achieved the next step. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it kind of helped you guys decide, or it helped you guys give you some tips if you are thinking about doing a water fast, a long-term water fast. And one thing I would also say is that I totally spaced on, in line with getting yourself into ketosis first, is do intermittent fasting first. If you're going from eating from 7 o'clock in the morning until like 10 o'clock at night, you're used to eating all day long, which if you are, please stop. It's so unhealthy. You're just spiking your insulin all day long. It is so bad for you. But if you guys can get down to, just keep condensing your feeding window to where maybe you're eating maybe 8 hours a day, and then like 6 hours a day. And then when you get to that point, if you can get to like 24 hours, and then you kind of just escalating the process from that, but also there might come a time where you're, desperate to salvage your health like I was. And, but however, I do want to make sure I'm mentioning that I've done all of those things. Like I have done intermittent fasting for years. I have fasted several times, and, I don't have terrible health issues. I'm not on insulin. I don't have heart issues. I don't have, any of those sorts of things. I'm not on any medication whatsoever. So if you are on medication, and you want to do any kind of fasting to maybe help yourself maybe come off of the medication, or just help yourself to regain your health, talk to your doctor. I am not in any way, shape, or form a medical expert, a medical professional, a dietary professional. I am simply myself, and I'm sharing with you what I am doing, And that is all. Please don't take this as medical advice. It's not. I am simply helping those who are already going to fast. I want to give them some tips that might help them go smoother. That's it. So if you have health issues before you do any kind of fasting, you're probably going to want to consult your healthcare professional. I would highly recommend it. So anyways, off of that soapbox, I'm going to go and drink my bone broth. If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. It helps with all the googly algorithmic things. If you guys are new around here, I like to do all kinds of videos. I like to do these videos every Wednesday where I'm kind of updating on my health journey, as well as all kinds of videos in the kitchen, canning, freezing, dehydrating, fermenting, and all of the food preservation, as well as how to actually cook those foods. If that sounds awesome to you, make sure you hit the subscribe button right here. This up here is a video of Mr. Google Pants thinks you're gonna like. This is last week's Wellness Wednesday, and this is my Wellness Wednesday playlist. Make sure you check it out. It's got all the awesome things right from the start of when I first started my health journey. So see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.